Today, we're going to talk about something that shapes our entire world. It's invisible. You can't hold it in your hand, but it has the power to build up empires or tear them all down. What are we talking about? The power of a single idea.
So let me just start with a question for you. When you think about power, I mean real, honest-to-goodness, world-changing power, what's the first thing that pops into your head?
Is it, a weapon? The sheer size of an empire? Maybe the unbending force of a law? And yeah, of course, those are all powerful things, no doubt about it. They command armies, they shape millions of lives. But what if the real source of power, the most fundamental kind, is something a lot more subtle? In this explainer, we're going to argue that the single most potent force on this planet is actually an idea. Think about it. An idea, once it's captured in writing, can leap from one mind to the next. It can cross generations, it can jump over borders, and it can literally rewrite the rules of our world.
Okay, so let's dive in. And we'll start with an idea that was like a global alarm bell. You have to remember, before the 1960s, the whole modern environmental movement, it just wasn't a thing yet. But that all changed, and it changed because of one person and one book.
This quote from Rachel Carson really gets to her core belief. For her, science wasn't some stuffy, abstract thing happening in a lab somewhere. No, it was the key to understanding our everyday reality, the what, the how, the why of everything. And she used that very key to unlock a really, really terrifying truth.
And the impact? He was immediate, just undeniable. In 1962, her book Silent Spring comes out, and it lays out in painstaking detail how chemicals, especially DDT, were poisoning, well, everything. And just think about how fast this happened. It's like a chain reaction. Within 1 year, a presidential committee is confirming her findings. By 1970, her idea has sparked a movement so big it leads to the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency. And then, just a decade after the book came out, DDT is banned. That right there is the incredible power of a single, well-researched, well-argued idea.
So, an idea can sound an alarm, but it can also be a timeless warning. And that brings us to George Orwell. His book, 1984, it's so much more than just a story, right? It was basically him distilling everything he'd ever experienced into this chilling prophecy about power and about truth.
And this dark vision that Orwell had, it didn't just spring out of nowhere. It was forged in the fires of the real world. When he was in Burma, he saw firsthand what imperial surveillance felt like. Back in England, he saw the crushing weight of the class system. But it was in Spain, that's where he witnessed the most dangerous threat of all, how a political ideology could literally, systematically, twist reality into something unrecognizable.
He even wrote about it, this peculiar evil feeling in the air in Barcelona, an atmosphere where truth itself just felt contaminated. And that experience, seeing propaganda and lies used as actual weapons to shut people up, that became the raw material for the world he would create in 1984.
And here's the crazy part. His warning has never, ever lost its relevance. In the book, the party invents a language called Newspeak for one reason: to control reality by controlling language. Fast forward decades to 2017, and we hear the term alternative facts being used to defend something that was just not true. The parallel is so shocking, so direct, that it sent people scrambling back to Orwell's original work.
I mean, how much did it resonate? In the week right after that comment was made, 1984, a book that was 70 years old, shot to #1 on the Amazon bestseller list. That's incredible. And it's because his idea is so powerful. It gives us the vocabulary, the concepts, to see and call out the manipulation of truth, especially when we feel like it's under attack.
Okay, so ideas can be alarms, they can be warnings, they help us make sense of the world we're in right now. But what's even bigger is that ideas can be the actual blueprints that built our reality in the first place. I'm talking about the very foundations of our societies, how we think about justice, property, government. All of that was first sketched out ages ago in the minds of philosophers.
Let's take Plato, for example. We're going way back, over 2,000 years ago. In his book, The Republic, he laid out this idea that a just society is basically like a just person. He dreamed up this city with 3 classes: rulers, guardians, and producers, and each had its own job to do. When they all work together in harmony, that's justice. And that core idea, that justice is a kind of societal harmony, it is echoed down through the centuries.
Then, much later, you get a guy like John Locke, and his ideas became a massive cornerstone for what we now call political liberalism. He came up with a pretty revolutionary concept for the time: you own your own body.
And because of that, when you mix your work, your labor with the natural world, you can actually own property. Such a simple idea, right? But it laid the groundwork for almost everything we believe about individual rights and ownership today.
But it wasn't that simple. Another thinker, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, came along and basically said, hold on a minute. He looked at that social contract for protecting property and argued it was kind of a scam, a deal that was set up to benefit the rich and powerful while keeping the poor right where they were. And that critique, that powerful counter-idea about how inequality can be baked right into the system, well, we're still debating it to this very day.
So here's the thing. Whether we realize it or not, we are all living inside the buildings that were constructed from these philosophical blueprints. They're like the invisible architecture of our entire world. They shape our deepest assumptions about what's fair, what's right, and what's even possible.
So let's recap. We've seen how a single idea can be an alarm bell, a serious warning, or even the foundation for a whole society. And now, I want to turn this around and point it back at you.
Right? An idea can be an alarm. Think Rachel Carson, forcing us to look at a hard truth. It can be a warning that never goes away, like Orwell's 1984, giving us the language to defend our freedom. Or it can be the blueprint, like with Plato, Locke, and Rousseau, the very logic our world is built on.
And that brings us to the final, and maybe the most important question of all. Because here's the deal. The world isn't finished. It's still being written, every single day. And new ideas are constantly competing for our attention. So, what ideas are shaping your world right now? What are the books, the articles, the concepts that are sounding the alarms for you, giving you the warnings, and drawing the blueprints for the future you're going to live in? Really think about it. Because that answer, it's probably way more powerful than you imagine.